Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I am so happy to be here again. The video today has been in my heart for a long time. I've seen these types of videos pop up on YouTube, like whether it's starting over at 23, 24, 30, 35, 40s. I think when it comes to starting over, there's never a timeline. Life is always going to throw hard things our way, and what matters is how we rise from those things. Today is my birthday. I'm 32 today. Obviously, I'm pre-recording this video. I am so excited to be celebrating another year. Even though the circumstances may not be the best and I may not be right where I want to be, I still want to take the time to celebrate. And for this, I wanted to share with you guys what I'm currently going through, just so you know that it's okay for things to not be okay. Before I get started, I would like to point out that I've started over many times in my life or throughout my life. I feel like it's happened in different seasons of my life. But what has changed now at 32, I think it's the tools that I have and the support that I have around me, which makes me feel like I can go through this and not fall back into a really dark hole or dark time like I have in the past. In my previous job, I experienced burnout multiple times in that job. It's a job that was my first job coming from or moving from Chicago to LA, which is another story how I moved here. I had one goal: do my best, work hard, climb up the corporate ladder, the whole thing. Because of how much I was putting into my work and not pouring into myself, I ended up burning out multiple times. This previous corporate job I had, my identity was tied to this. I worked very hard, climbed up the corporate ladder, gave it my all, sometimes not taking care of myself, my basic necessities. So fast forward to 2023, it was my worst burnout yet. It really was a dark time for me in 2023. Going through something like that is not something I wish on anybody. It was just a very dark time for me. I think a lot of people that experience this type of burnout would describe it as not seeing color in life. Like, it was just a very gray, black time, and it was just not a good time. I started slowly isolating myself. I wouldn't really hang out with friends. I started just not even working out, moving my body, feeling unmotivated. And I remember I would just work my hours and sometimes overwork, and then I would just lay in my couch and feel so depleted and just not happy. There were even times when I remember I didn't even have the energy to shower. And that's when I knew it got really bad, when it was just me crying before meetings, just like not having that motivation. And so I did seek out help. I think that's when I'm like, I need help. I went to a therapist, and we just started talking about this. And I've always been somebody that has been in therapy. I'm a huge proponent of therapy. I think it's a huge support. This was me going back after not having gone for a few I forgot how long I stopped going for, but I had not been going. And so I went back, I told them, the therapist, what I was going through, told her I think it's really severe burnout. I've read about it, and she confirmed what I knew, right? But then it was actually worse than I thought. Because at the time I was also experiencing a depressive episode and just really bad anxiety. And at the same time that this was all happening and unfolding, my body had also suffered the consequences. So I started experiencing really bad back pain, to the point where I could not lay down and be pain-free. Like, I was in terrible pain. So that was another thing that I had to take care of during this time. So it just kind of collided with the other things going on. So I knew that I had to make a complete stop. So I filled out all my paperwork and did leave of absence. I think it got to be to that point, right? So I did my leave of absence for 1 month. I could have taken more, but I was still worried. Imagine me going through all of this. I was still worried about work. That leave of absence, I actually took it at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024. So really, it was the first month of 2024 when I was taking this leave of absence. It kind of collided with the holiday break that we had. So then right after that, I came back to work, did the same thing, worked hard. I was slowly getting out of the burnout because I think during my leave of absence was really like a major reset for me. I started connecting to nature, hiking, practicing breath work. I did a lot of different things to help support me during that time, which I can talk more about all the things I did. But I kept a journal of my experience during those 30 days, and I just like started getting my life back slowly. I started off the year 2024 with a job, but by the end of that year, I got laid off. So in December of 2024, December 11th, I will never forget that day, is when I got laid off. So that was a very tough thing. Inserting a clip here because I forgot to mention a few things. This job that I was laid off from was what I thought 5 years earlier my dream job at a company that I grew up with and that I really, really admired. As somebody that is not even born here, I was born in Mexico and I came to the States at a very young age. I was 8 years old when I came to the States. I was the first in my family to graduate from a 4-year college, and I didn't really get support even getting into college throughout college. So this job to me was like my big girl job. I worked very hard and inside while I was in it, to the point where I was burnt out because I was trying to get ahead. I was trying to get money, get promoted, move ahead, and I did just that. I'm very proud of everything I accomplished while I was there. But it was at the expense of my health. But nonetheless, I was playing the corporate game. Like, I had a really good salary by the time before I got laid off. I still had not met what I thought was my goal, right? To get 6 figures and have that 6-figure job. So when that all was taken away, it was kind of like, what do I do now? To me, it was a moment that I was prepared for. I felt like it was gonna happen, but another thing is actually going through the changes emotionally and everything happening after the layoff, the aftermath. So after this layoff, obviously things had to be adjusted, budgets, all the things. But now I'm 32 and I'm having to figure things out. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Where I'm at right now is my unemployment is running out on July 5th. I am having to dip into my other savings, which is my Roth IRA that I did not want to touch. I worked very hard to put the money that I had in there, but it's come down to now I have to dip into that. And now my savings are all gone. I don't have family support or the means to go back home to live with parents, to live with my boyfriend's parents. You know, that's not even a possibility to go back home. We're here on our own in LA, so having to figure that out, it adds another layer. I had health insurance for up to 6 months after my layoff, and that is going to be all gone by June 30th. So June 30th, officially, I'm gonna be applying to Medi-Cal, and it's just a time of a lot of uncertainty. In the beginning, I started off after my layoff. First of all, it happened right before Christmas. The LA fires happened here. It was just one thing after another, and I didn't really start my job search until like March, I would say. But it just has felt very off. I feel like I was just throwing balls at the wall trying to find a job without really even feeling aligned to any of the jobs that I was applying to. So I think I'm in a period right now of tuning back into myself and really reassessing where I am headed. If it's going to be a full-time job, if I'm gonna be doing consulting, if this content creation, if like what's the plan, you know, if I'm gonna go more full force on it, because this is what I see myself doing. Content creation is something that I see myself doing, but I know that the reality is we all need a paycheck, so I'm having to really figure that other layer out. I'm just keeping myself open to all the possibilities, all the greatness that's coming. And I also don't mind taking a part-time job right now, even if it's at like a fitness studio. I recently started doing barre, So I am not afraid to do those types of roles too, so that it can lead me to a life of more alignment where I feel more fulfilled and more happy. Because oftentimes, something that I realized is that I was chasing the corporate dream, the corporate life, and thinking that making more money, six figures, was going to give me happiness. And in reality, it only led me to horrible burnout. And it's not something that I felt like it was something aligned with me or that I even wanted. On top of everything happening, I'm also having to move out of this apartment that we have been living in, and it's a nice apartment. There's a gym here, but that is something that is just not something we can afford anymore here. So having to find a place to live is also another thing I'm dealing with. So imagine all of this. Basically, my life is in shambles right now. But I also know that I have the power within me to turn it around. And that is exactly what I want to do. Just take a step back to take a step forward. And I wanted to share my story because maybe somebody hearing this, you may not have the family support. You have to figure things out on your own. And you might be dealing with something similar. So just know that you're not alone, and it's just a moment in life. I think that's something that I had to remind myself constantly during this time. And keeping myself surrounded in the space of community and support with friends that uplift you and people that believe in you, I think it's another really important part of this process. And that's exactly what I've been doing, and it's been helping so much. Right now I feel happy even though I'm unemployed and things are really bad. I feel more at peace. And my health is back. That is something I'm so grateful for every single day, to be pain-free and to have a back that's strong. And my body only keeps getting stronger, and my mental health keeps getting better too, even though things are bad. And there are bad days, I'm not gonna lie. There are really bad days where I just cry. And like the other day, I was like, I found out my unemployment's ending and I was crying. So there are days that get bad, but I think it's the mindset now that's helping and serving me. And that's something I would not change my physical health and mental health for anything. I'm somebody that loves to also just invest in myself. I cannot tell you the amount of coaching programs, things that I've spent my money on in the last, I would say, 5 years. And I still continue to be in those spaces right now, even through this layoff, because that's something that's helping me keep my mind strong. And then hopefully that's gonna lead to, you know, more action in the direction that I feel aligned to. So although I am starting over at 32, I believe we're starting from a different place than we started maybe at a different point in our life, because now we're more wise. I think all the experiences help you kind of build more resilience. So I think leaning into that has been helping me. And yes, I may be starting over at 32, but we're never starting from the same place. So that gives me some peace. So I'd like to just wrap up by telling you, I know life can throw many things our way, and sometimes things don't go as planned, and we have to find ourselves again through this process, especially if your identity was tied to what you were doing before, whether it was work or whatever it may be. But just know that life is still beautiful. Finding the joy in the mess is important. And keeping yourself surrounded by good people is also really important, especially if you've been through, whether it may be depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. I've been there too. So just keep your head up. I believe in us. We got this. It can only go up from here now because we've hit the rock bottom. And remember, you can start over at 32, 42, 52. It doesn't matter. There's no time frame for that. And I hope you join me in my journey of content creation. I'm gonna be creating more here. And I hope you got something out of this video too. I'm starting over at 32, but never starting from zero. We got this. Alrighty, bye-bye.